Unmasking is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been. Underneath the layers, the expectations, the survival strategies that once kept you safe. For many of us, masking begins long before we even realize it. We learn to read the room long before we learn to read ourselves. We adapt, soften, shrink, and shape shift to fit the spaces we find ourselves in. We learned that being loved often means being easy, agreeable, dependable, quiet, but somewhere along the way, the mask begins to feel heavier. You notice the ache that comes from pretending you're fine. You start to sense the distance between who you are and who you've been performing to be. And that's where the journey begins. In the moment you decide to stop abandoning yourself for belonging. Unmasking is not glamorous. It's raw, messy, and sometimes painfully slow. It asks you to meet yourself in the places you've avoided, the emotions you've numbed, the parts of your story that still sting. It's standing in front of the mirror and asking, who am I when I'm not trying to be who they want me to be? When I began my own unmasking, I half expected freedom to come quickly. I thought that once I started peeling back the layers, I'd feel light and whole. But what I found instead was grief. Grief for all the years I spent pretending. Grief for all the parts of myself I silenced just to keep the peace. And grief for how easily I confused breadcrumbs with love. But within that grief was also relief, because every tear, every realization, every truth I finally let myself speak was a homecoming. I began to see that unmasking isn't about destruction, it's about integration. It's about holding your younger self's hand and saying, you don't have to hide anymore. I got you. The journey to unmasking isn't linear. Some days you'll feel brave and alive, completely ready to show up fully as yourself. Other days, the old patterns will whisper your name, tempting you back into the comforts and control. Neither is a failure, as both are part of the process. You're not starting over, you're returning to your voice, to your truth, to the softness you once protected behind walls of strength. So take your time, move gently, let yourself be seen in new ways, even if your voice shakes a little at first. Unmasking is an act of courage, but it's also an act of love, because every layer you shed brings you closer to the truth of who you are. And that truth is not too much, too sensitive, or too complicated. It's sacred, it's enough, it's you. Welcome home.